So, hi guys, myself and John are back for another unboxing. Today we're having a look at more World War II.
Funny that.
Funny that.
Funny that.
Funny that.
In this video, we're looking at the Valentine Mk II.
Yeah.
Which is a light British infantry tank from the early war period.
Right.
Not much to say about it, really. It's just a small little tank.
Is it at least cute?
No.
No, it's not cute.
Well,
see, that's the thing with any small tank. It can look cute.
it can look cute. Chaffee looks cute.
Well, Chaffee is cute.
Chaffee is cute as sin. Valentine.
Is it the ugly sister?
It's the pretty sister of the Matilda Mk II, I suppose.
Okay, that works.
It's more
crack open the box.
Right.
Crack open
Okay.
the box.
Okay. Let's have a look. Anyway, having seen this now immediately is the first time I've actually opened the box. Striking resemblance to the Hellcat, don't you think?
Yeah, striking resemblance. One thing that jumps out at me instantly.
The entire hull is one part.
Yeah, tracks and all are on.
Tracks and all are on.
That jumps out at me and says, okay, this would be difficult to mold, but they've done a beautiful job of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, obviously you're getting a little bit of the flash between the wheels, but I mean, that's no big deal.
A craft knife.
A
5 minutes with a craft knife.
A craft knife or a really old toothbrush if you're lazy.
Really?
Yeah.
Wouldn't have thought to try that.
It's thin enough, I would say. Maybe you want a craft knife in this case. But the molding is good. I mean, even on the underside, we have a little bit of riveting detail. Get it? Riveting? Never mind.
Yes.
Sorry. Rivet detail underneath the lower glacis plate there, and again on the back.
Well, I mean, like the thing that jumps out at me on the front of it here, the hatches open up this way.
Yes.
And they look tiny again.
They are tiny. That's the failure of every British tank ever made, ever.
Okay.
Except the more modern stuff. But we're not counting that.
Yeah.
This is a single person in the front of the hull. So this is, I believe it's a 3-man crew in Valentine.
Okay.
So you have one in the front, 2 in the turret. But when you see the size of the turret, you're like, why? You know, there's...
Well, I mean, like, you've got this one nice big hatch here. So
you call it big, but I mean, there's 2 people in there that have to get out if the thing's on fire.
I would rather be trying to get out through that than one of those.
People were a lot smaller during the war.
I suppose this is true.
This is true. Right, anyway, so excellent detail on the turret. We have the position for the coax machine gun and the main gun itself, which in this case is a 2-pounder anti-tank gun, or as everyone else in the Americas would know it, as a 37mm gun.
So I'm guessing shell's not very big.
Shell is, well 37mm is about that.
Yeah.
So it's not very big.
Yeah.
And this tank suffered the same issue that all British infantry tanks faced during the early war period. They only fired AP. Right,
so this wasn't an infantry tank, this was technically a cruiser tank?
This is an infantry tank. This is a slow vehicle, so it'll only do 15 to 20 miles an hour at a stretch. It's designed to follow infantry or run alongside infantry. They kind of figured that this was the solution to facing enemy armor as an infantry unit.
Okay.
So if the infantry are running along, you know, all happy and Larry, all of a sudden a Panzer III or something turns up, they go, we don't have any anti-tank guns with us. That Valentine over there has a AP round.
So lads, heads down. Valentine, please.
Valentine would go ahead and try and sort it out. The problem with Valentine, unlike its bigger cousin Matilda, is that this does not have the armor.
Okay.
This has, I think is it 40 mils on the front or something like that. Matilda had up to nearly 4 inches on the front.
Well, I don't know. You've got a very small flat front plate, and the rest of it's reasonably well sloped.
It's reasonably well sloped. The problem is it's riveted.
Okay.
And this is a problem that they faced in the desert as well. When a tank took a hit that didn't penetrate, and the tank was made of rivets, the impact of the shell would shake the plate so hard that it would snap the rivets.
Okay. So it
causing
didn't
the
need to
rivets
penetrate.
to shoot off inside the vehicle, like bullets.
Okay, how about now?
So that's where the problem with rivets were.
Okay, that's completely fair enough. I can see instantly that design has to die.
When Britain was really trying to gear back up to war, they needed a tank manufacturing plant, but they didn't have a purpose-built one. So they went to the railway companies, you know, like the train builders and all that sort of stuff. and they would send the specifications that were drawn up by the Ministry of Defence. They
Okay.
would send those off to the manufacturing plants. And because these guys were used to building boilers and steam engines and stuff like that, they knew how to rivet, they knew how to profile metal very well, so they thought, well, these guys are going to make a good tank. They get the specifications and go, why do you want to weld this? We don't weld things, you know, we rivet things. This is what we do. So, as David Fletcher says, often what happened was that the design that came out the other end of the factory was totally different from the idea that went in.
Okay.
If you ever go and you see the likes of a Valentine or any cruiser tanks or anything like that in any tank museum, you get up close to the seams in the armor, the join points, and they are beautifully put together. I mean, each plate is profiled, is beveled and made sure that it fits millimeter perfect.
Basically, flawless builds.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that was a problem because it took longer to do.
Yeah.
And because it was riveted, it had that other problem as well. The rivets
shearing
shear off.
rivets.
Yep. And they became more expensive, I believe, as well. I think they were kind of slightly more expensive to build other than having just used weld.
Okay.
Because you need, as David Fletcher, yet again, I will refer to him a lot in the future. He refers to when you rivet something, you need craftsmen. You need someone that is skilled in doing
Yes,
rivets,
you know, you don't just hand it to Jimmy and Bobby down the line.
who have a welder in hand and just go zip, and that's it done.
Yeah, but if you give the same two boys a rivet panel and they try and rivet it, they don't know what they're up to.
It could take them months to learn the proper procedure to do rivets.
Yes, how hot the rivet needs to be, how quickly it needs to go in, how much force you need to strike with, what you're actually using to strike with, and actually even just building the muscle memory to do it.
Yeah.
Right, anyway, metal bits.
Metal parts.
So we have the
Headlights.
top hatch,
And the top hatch.
the headlights. We have this little bit here. This is not flash. This is your coax gun,
That's your coax gun.
and this is your main gun.
And that's your main gun.
The main gun is tiny.
It is tiny.
It is.
When you consider that at this stage of the war, like when these things were being issued in sort of the late French campaign of 1940 and then the Desert campaign, the Germans were already using 88s as anti-tank guns.
And they thought this would work.
Yeah. But it's... The early war British armor is all about compromise. We don't have time to bring out the new stuff. It's in development, but we don't have time to build it.
Okay.
We have to build what we know now and deal with what we've got.
Okay. Well, you've also got your little metal commander in there as well, who appears to be on the squawk. It's a really nice little sculpt for a commander.
Obviously, yeah. I mean, a lot of the British commanders are actually very nice. He's even got the goggles on, which is quite cool.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he would suit rather well being painted with this thing in the desert.
All right, well, here, we've got a built version, guys. So myself and John are going to step away for a second. We'll be right back. See you after the break. And we're back. Right.
Yep.
We've got the built version. I was right. This is absolutely tiny.
Yeah.
This looks so stumpy. How could this kill anything?
It was perfectly good against the early generation German tanks.
I suppose that we look at it with hindsight of going, yeah, but German had Tiger, German had Panther. They didn't have it whenever this was there.
No, exactly. And what it was mostly facing was the likes of the early model Panzer IIIs, early model Panzer IVs. And it would have struggled against Panzer IVs. It would be okay at close range to a Panzer III. The problem is that the Panzer III had a 50mm gun. And I think by the time of the mid-desert campaign, they had the long barrel 50.
Okay.
And the Panzer IVs were getting upgraded to the long barrel 75.
Which would just shred these.
Yes, without any problem, and could outrange them was the most important thing.
Right, well, guys, as you can see, we've left the hatch closed. If you're wanting to put that little commander in, you do have to split this top hatch. I considered it during the build and then thought, no, I like it buttoned up.
Yep.
So we've got the main gun has went in. This was a very, very quick build. I will give it that. This is incredibly quick for all you have to do.
Yeah, there was very few parts to it.
Yeah, the lights were just a little bit fiddly, and whenever I took them off the sprue, I had to just nip a little bit extra just to get them to sit at the proper height.
They sat a little too high, didn't they?
They were just a little bit proud. So you just nip off that little bit extra, gives the very end a wee touch of a file, glue, pop in, jobs are good.
Yep.
It's a lovely little kit.
It is.
And you can actually see now the actual...
Yeah, you've cleaned out between the wheels, yeah.
Yeah, between the running gear, it's only got a 2-bogey system.
It's a 2-unit system.
Okay, 2-unit system.
Two-unit system with 6 bogey wheels.
Okay.
That's what bogies are.
Okay, my bad. We've been doing this for how many months now, and he's still taking me to school. But no, what was the suspension system like in this? Did it have a smooth ride on it?
Probably not.
No? Even
No.
going 20 mile an hour?
Probably not.
Okay.
It's unlike the Christie built tanks, which are the Cruiser series, which had the big Christie suspension. They probably had a smoother ride, but then they had to go faster.
Yeah. So they weren't so worried about it because it was slower?
No, these tanks didn't really need good suspension. What they needed was tough suspension. They needed something that could withstand whatever they were doing. And could carry a heavier vehicle.
Okay.
That's the main part. I mean, when you see Matilda Mark II, its suspension is practically zero. I mean, it's got maybe 4-inch travel on its suspension.
Yeah, and isn't its entire sides like closed off?
They are, yeah, because it was the quintessential infantry tank that could just take punishment and keep laughing at them and asking for more.
Yeah, I think I remember you telling me a story about a group of them. Was it during Dunkirk?
Yeah.
They actually screwed it up so that it couldn't drive forward, so they actually had to reverse away from the Germans all the way to Dunkirk.
They reversed something like 40 miles to their assembly point, where they then had to abandon the thing and blow them up. So kind of sad, because you think, it got you that far. Could you not put it on the boat?
yeah. Would you not just drag it on board and have done?
Yeah. But Valentine had a lot of different variants as well. I mean, obviously this was the first version pretty much of the gun tank. Yeah. They then went on to create something called the Archer.
The Archer? Okay, what was it?
The Archer is a self-propelled gun. It has they took the turret off this thing, they threw that away, threw that in the scrap. They cut out a lot of this, the middle section, and mounted a 17-pounder on it.
Was this for an artillery piece or
a tank?
So they turned it into a TD.
Yeah, they turned it into a tank destroyer, and the way they did it is hilarious because the tank has to drive backwards to bring its gun to bear.
So hang on, the
gun points off the back. Yeah. So when it's driving forward, it looks like it's going in reverse. You see them in World of Tanks driving around, and you think, is that thing going in reverse? Actually, no, it's not. It's actually going forward, but it looks like it's running away.
That just sounds so wrong. What is wrong with some of the engineers in World War II? I get that they're experimenting and stuff, but some of it just jumps out at you and it seems ridiculous.
I can see the design point because the Valentine's not a big vehicle, but the 17-pounder has a really long barrel. So you're keeping the vehicle within a certain length by running the gun barrel over the back of the vehicle, so there's very little overhang. Had you mounted it front-wise, it would be nearly double its own length.
Okay, fair enough. And I suppose with it being that at the front, if anything shoots at you from the front, you're kind of having to break through the engine before you actually get to the crew.
You've got the engine first, so I guess there's a survivability element to it.
Well, crew survivability, not vehicle.
Kinda. Because if it takes a hit, the engine might go kaboom. And then the fuel might go kaboom, and then you'd go kaboom.
Was it open-topped at the very least?
Yes.
Okay, so I could jump.
You could jump away from it and run.
Right, so do the Hollywood, yeah!
Yeah. But that is Valentine. That is it. It was a stopgap vehicle as far as I'm concerned. I know it was one of the things that the British experimented with for a long time. They put a lot of thought into it. Not exactly, in my opinion, the best thought they put into it. I think they put more thought into Matilda. But it did its job when it worked, and it was nearly obsolete by the time we were starting to use it anyway, so you can't fault it for its debut, I suppose, because it was too late for it anyway.
Well, I mean, like, overall, the kit itself, it's beautiful.
Yes.
Crisp. There's tons of detail to work with. If you love doing your weathering powders and things like that, you're going to have a lot of fun with this.
Yes, absolutely.
And if you're playing early war bolt action, why not give it a whirl?
Absolutely.
Anyway, myself and John will move on here. We'll see what else we can find to unbox, and we'll see you again in the next episode.